This is Tom Noonan. You're listening to Without Your Head.
Welcome to the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neal, and I'm joined here on Scream Queen Month. I'm going to call it the littlest Scream Queen, a Monster Squad. We have Ashley Bank. How you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's great that you're here. I'm good, thank you. So, how did you get involved in the Monster Squad?
I mean, like most acting jobs, when you're an actor around Hollywood, there's a breakdown that goes out, and your agent submits a headshot, and they say, yeah, you look like maybe you could be the part, and they send a scene, and you come in and you audition, and then if they like you, they bring you back 2 or 3 or 10 times, and then they narrow it down, and you do a screen test, and then they hire you. And so I think I came in at the callback process. I think they had seen a lot of girls who were older than me because they wanted to cast somebody who was over 6 because they can work more hours than somebody who's 5. And I think that they didn't find who they were looking for. So they opened it up to go a little younger. And so I think I in sort of the second round. And I think I had 1 callback, maybe, test.
Yeah. What were the auditions like? And like what scenes did you have to read for?
Oh gosh.
Or if you remember.
I totally don't remember. I don't remember at all. My guess would be that probably the scene with Ray Ellen would be my guess, that it was with mom, the scene with the mom, when she comes in, and that seems to me like it's sort of the most actory audition scene.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely didn't have to curse in my audition.
Yeah. Were you scared of any of the monsters on set?
You know, most of them we saw were half in their costume and half out. So the only one that I was really scared of was Dracula, because he stayed very far away from us, and he stayed pretty in character, I think, by design to have us be scared of him. And then Tom Noonan, I never met until I was in my 20s, because he was always in character also, but I wasn't supposed to be scared of him. He was always very sweet and kind to me on set, so I wasn't scared of him either.
Yeah. So were you scared during that scene when Dracula, when Duncan, does grab you by the face?
Petrified. I mean, that is my real scream. Fred Dekker pulled me aside and wanting this scene, and being, a good actress who wants to be, said, hey, when do you want me to scream? And he said, you'll know. And being 5, I wasn't like, what the fuck do you mean you'll know? What does that mean? What do you have up your sleeve? I was just like, okay. And so he, scared the crap out of me, basically. And I screamed and cried, and then we reset, and we did it one more time because my scream was so authentic that it was short. Yeah, it screamed the air out of me. So we had to do one more scream that was longer. Hey, we're going to do it one more time, and this time scream longer.
After you're scared, does anyone come up and say, hey, it's okay, it's just an actor? Or...
Well, my mom was right there.
Okay.
So as soon as they hit cut, I was in my mom's arms, and she was like, it's okay, it's not real, it's just pretend, it's fine, look at him, they're touching his makeup up, you're okay. So that's sort of, when you see the sausage get made, there's a grip walking around, and there's, makeup people eating Twizzlers or whatever it is. So the illusion gets destroyed pretty quickly when you're not actually filming.
Yeah. I saw there was a panel at a convention, and Duncan said that he threw a hammer at Fred Dekker at some point when they were filming because they argued.
Yeah,
do you remember this?
I've heard that story, but I don't remember. I have a feeling that I was not on set. With the kids, they basically tried to get us, on and off set as quickly as possible, because you're really limited in the amount of time that you give children. So a lot of the scenes that were just between the adults, or that the coverage of the monsters, even when we were supposed to be in the scene, a lot of that was done after we'd been sent home for the night. So the rest they'd shoot us out, they'd send the kids home, and then they'd, make the real movie.
Yeah. So the rest of the kids, did you guys all bond? I know you're younger than a lot of them.
I was a little bit younger. I wasn't kind of in with the boys the way that I maybe wanted to be in with the boys.
Right.
But, I'm still really friendly with a lot of them now. Andre and Ryan and I just did this amazing tour with Alamo Draft House where we went to 17 draft houses in 17 days. And I brought my baby. So it was sort of the three of us and my kid traveling around the country. So that was pretty wild. And, I'm in touch with Michael Faustino on Facebook. And, everybody's connected via social media these days. So it's a lot easier to stay in touch now than it was when we were younger. I imagine that you have that as well.
Yeah, definitely. What was what's this tour? Because we're gonna have Andre on pretty soon. What was it? What did the tour about?
Well, I'm sure he'll tell you all of that. So basically, 30th anniversary tour with Alamo Draft House, where we went to 17 different Draft House theaters, and we did screenings of the movies and Q&As after and sometimes before the screenings to answer fan questions. We would do meet and greets, autographs and take photos and stuff like that, sort of to celebrate the movie's 30th anniversary. Yeah, which is unbelievable to me to even think about, but it's been 30 years.
Yeah, it is. Well, it was the first movie. It's always special to me. It's the first movie I went to see with a girl. Was the Monster Squad? We were both pretty young, so it wasn't. No,
how old were you guys?
I think I was 12.
Ooh, did you put your arm around her?
Yeah, I think that was the big thing. I think we're sharing popcorn and.
Okay, so my question for you is, what was the scary moment that made her grab onto you?
I'd have to think about that because I always watched horror movies since I was a little kid, since I was 5 or 6, so I wasn't really scared of things. But maybe the Mummy. The Mummy's pretty scary in it when he comes out of the closet.
Can be pretty scary.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a scary moment when he's in the closet for sure.
Yeah. So it is a 30th anniversary. What's the age range of fans for Monster Squad? Is it people who saw it like me when it came out? Is it younger people who discovered it since it's been out, on Blu-ray?
So that's sort of the cool thing, is that there are people that saw it in the theater. There's a couple people, 5 or something. There's a few people who saw it in the theater. And then there are all the kids who discovered it on HBO and in video stores after it was in theaters and sort of watched it at home over and over again. Yeah. And then those people have since sort of grown up, and a lot of them have actually passed the movie to their kids. So I've met fans of the movie as young as 4 or 3 or 4 and as old as 60.
That's pretty awesome.
It's pretty wild to me. It's pretty cool when you think about it.
I think the movie's has gotten a lot more popular over the years. I remember when it came out, I don't think it did that well, and I was always a big fan of it, but
it was a bomb. It made $3 million. It was a total bomb.
So what's that like though, to over time to was Monster Squad always was it always something big to you, and then, or was it later when more people started to become fans of it?
Well, I think at the time it was the biggest thing I'd done up until then. The biggest movie I'd done, the biggest production I'd been a part of. So while we were filming it, it was wow, I'm doing a big movie. This is cool. It had a decent budget for the time. And then, it kind of came out and no one saw it and it kind of fizzled and it just became this thing I did. And it was no big deal. As an actor, you do a lot of projects that either never get finished or don't see the light of day, or they just sort of happen and they're over and it's no big deal. And so this just sort of became one of those. And then I think I was in college and I was talking to somebody that I think I'd been dating for a while and somehow came up and they were like, wait a second, you were in the Monster Squad and you haven't told me? And I was like, you've seen that movie? What are you talking about? And so I sort of started to figure out that a couple of people that were around my age or a little bit older who maybe had watched it on video or something. But it really wasn't until 2000 and anniversary screening at the Alamo Draft House in Austin when we really saw sort of what the fans of this movie were like and how many there were. And I don't know if I think it's really necessarily grown as much as I think that people found each other.
That's
I
true.
think that because of the internet, and because of social media, all these people who thought they were the only ones
right.
suddenly sort of found each other. It's how, like, I when I was a little girl, I was obsessed with the movie The Last Unicorn.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like for the longest time, no one I knew what that movie was.
Mm-hmm.
And now, because of social media, and it was on Netflix recently, now I'm not the only one anymore. So I think a lot of people have that experience with Monster Squad.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And then, like you said, some people who, younger people who are just seeing it for the first time.
Yeah, I think, when it came out on DVD, then all of a sudden people who'd watched it as kids but didn't own it in any way were then able to buy it and then show their kids or share it with friends or girlfriends or boyfriends. Like we've met some people at the screenings where it's like a girl's like, yeah, my boyfriend's a big fan and he made me watch it and I really like it now too.
Yeah.
Or vice versa.
Yeah, and that's what works about it because it's fine for a kid to watch, and it's scary enough where I think even a kid who doesn't want to watch kiddish, like, children's movie, you're gonna enjoy it, and yet it's not like a kids movie where an adult can still enjoy it. So I think any age can watch Monster Squad.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those movies that spans in the same way, and Andre will kill me for saying this, but in the same way that Goonies does, or that E.T. does, or even Stranger Things, right? Like everyone's watching Stranger Things. It's about kids, but it's for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Stranger Things, what do you? Because it does seem like the last couple of years, like there's '80s nostalgia everywhere, and just someone who's in a big '80s movie. What do you make of that?
I think it's awesome. I mean, I think that Stranger Things is great. I have not yet time to watch this new season, but I cannot wait to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Last season, I thought it was amazing, incredibly well done, such good storytelling.
Yeah, if you liked last season, you'll definitely like the second season. I actually just watched it yesterday. I was a little late.
Did you enjoy it?
You cut up a little bit there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you like it?
Yeah, definitely. I liked it a lot. Yeah, it's very much like the first season. There's in a weird way, it's kind of like Aliens, just to Alien, because Alien had the one alien. And then Aliens was a whole bunch of aliens, and this is a similar. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's kind of a similar idea. Yeah, I don't think it's giving much away because you kind of find that out pretty early. But yeah, I think if you like the first one, you definitely like the second one.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the people who were watching these movies as kids in the '80s are now filmmakers and they're executives, and they're people who are now writing and creating content. So it makes sense. I mean, it's for the longest time they were saying you can't make a movie that stars kids because there had been a couple that didn't do well, and now you can again. So everything's true until it isn't.
Right. Yeah. And then like the It was the same way, and they updated it for taking place in the '80s instead of like the original It in the '50s or '60s.
Mm-hmm.
That was great too.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet either. We watched that trailer on every day of our tour, and I'm so scared of clowns.
Yeah,
and I've heard it's fantastic, but I have a kid, so I never make it to the movies anymore.
Right. So has your kid seen Monster Squad yet? Because you said you brought her.
No, she's 18 months old, so she's not quite old enough for Monster Squad yet. One day.
Yeah. Were you into monsters like when you were making the movie?
I mean, most little girls at that age, unless they have horror movie parents, are probably not into monsters. I don't think I knew they were until the movie happened. I don't think I'd ever heard of Frankenstein, Dracula, a 5-year-old girl. It was all, tea parties and princesses. So it was interesting to learn about them, and I enjoyed being around, and I thought, the mythology is cool. And as I've grown older and learned more about it, I understand the movie and I understand the meaning so much more now than I did then. Yeah.
You mentioned, Tom Noonan was Frankenstein most of the movie. I guess you said you didn't meet him until you're in your 20s. What was he like though? Because he's kind of infamously kind of like aloof amongst the cast members in different movies.
I mean, Tom Noonan's interesting. It's funny. I just saw him last weekend, 2 weekends ago, when we were all at Alamo City Con in San Antonio. And he's a riot. I mean, he's an actor, and he's a true character actor and a what's the word I want? He's in character he's a method actor. And so on set, he had to go through like 2 hours of makeup, I think, every morning. So he showed up way before us, put his makeup on, and then he stayed in character the whole time, I think, for himself and for us to help us, relate to him that way. And as I've met him as an adult, everybody has good days and bad days. And some days he's happier and chattier than other days. So am I.
Sure. Yeah.
And so I think that he's an artist and he's so talented. And
Definitely.
so, he does what he thinks he has to do for the good of the project.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had him on the show a couple of years ago, and other people warned me. They're like he'll probably just hang up, or I was like, oh, but he was great with me. He stayed on for like an hour, and like you said, I guess it depends on his mood, or maybe it depends on the person too.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody has days where they feel like talking more than days where they don't feel like talking, and Tom's just really true to what's going on with him. He's honest with what's happening in the moment.
How old were you when you first saw the finished movie? Did you see it right after it was finished?
Yep, I went to the premiere and I was 6 the first time I saw it. Mm-hmm. I learned a lot when I watched the movie for the first time because I couldn't read while we were filming, so I've never actually read the script. And
that's interesting.
There were things in the movie that I didn't know were in the movie. So it was actually in some ways probably I had more of the experience of the audience than most of the other cast members because so much of it was a mystery to me.
Yeah. That's interesting. Since you couldn't read, how do you learn your lines? Does someone just repeat them to you?
Mm-hmm. My mom would repeat them to me, and I would memorize them.
Mm-hmm.
And mimic her, basically.
Yeah. So, were you scared watching the movie?
No, I think once you've seen it made, you know what's coming. You're not scared. You sort of know what's going to happen and how it's going to happen. So you were there. So it feels like watching an old home movie rather than having like an experience in the theater in the same way.
Mm-hmm. When you watch it, when's the last time you seen the full movie?
Well, it's been a while since I've seen the movie. Whenever we do these things, I see the beginning or I see the end, poke my head in, and I see a piece of it. Uh-huh. It's been a while since I've seen the whole movie front to back. Mm-hmm. I want to say maybe I watched it. It would have to be at one of these reunion screenings or one of these conventions where we watched it. I must have watched it at some point. Oh, you know what? I know what. We did a screening at the Chinese theater like 2 years ago,
cool.
a year ago. Mm-hmm. And my nephew was in town, and he's 10, and he had never seen the movie. And so I brought him with me to the screening and to do the Q&A, and I sat with him and watched it with him.
Mm-hmm. So you kind of brushed on this before. Well, how's your opinion of the movie changed since you were 6 to now?
To be honest, I don't know if I had an opinion about it as a little kid.
Right.
It was a fun thing I did. It was fun, right? My opinion was that it was just like this fun experience and I had a good time and it's this movie that no one saw. And now I sort of feel like it's this amazing thing that I get to be a part of. And I feel so lucky, and it sounds so cheesy, but I feel really blessed because most actors and most artists really just want to be a part of something that affects people and makes an impact on people's lives. Mm-hmm. And most people work their whole careers and may never get to be a part of something that is that impactful to people. Mm-hmm. So I feel so lucky that I was able to be a part of something that means so much to so many people.
Yeah. So along those lines, when you're at the conventions or at a screening or maybe even emails, I don't know, are there any stories that come to mind that stick out from like a fan interaction?
I mean, people are just always so nice. It always blows my mind. I live in Los Angeles and people are nice-ish here, but, there's way fancier people walking around LA than me. You know what I mean? Right. So I'm always amazed at how like genuinely kind and sweet people are and how emotional they get about the movie that really surprises me too. Like a lot of people will say like got me through a hard time. And that's kind of cool to have something people felt like when they were struggling or when things were tough, they would turn to something where they could feel a part of something or where they can feel included or where they could feel like even the underdogs can win. Even these misfit kids can do right sometimes. And so that always makes me feel really
Yeah. Do you have any conventions or appearances coming up?
I don't think so. The Alamo City Con was the last one I think I had in my calendar. But, when they come up, if I can do them, I do them. I'm busy these days. My husband has created a show that's in pre-production right now, and they're getting ready to shoot up in Vancouver. So he is super busy and gone a lot. And so that leaves me much busier. I'm with my daughter by myself most of the time. So, when I can do things and when I get invited, I go if I can. I don't think there's anything coming up.
Yeah. I assume since you have do you still act since you have a young daughter?
I do. I mean, I took a sort of go through that and be with her. But now that she's a little bit older, I did a play recently and, I audition still and I act here and there. And I write as well. So I stay creative. I teach at a film school. So I'm always I teach acting and I teach pitching. And I used to work in production, so I teach some of that stuff too. So I sort of stay busy in that way, and that feels fun and creative. And, I'm always open to projects that I find interesting that feel right to me.
Well, it's interesting you say, you like to stay creative, because I think some people would think when you're a child actor, maybe it's not necessarily your choice to get into acting. But so was it something that you enjoy doing? And it seems like, something you continue doing.
I didn't see people on TV yet. I want to do that. It just definitely did come from my parents, but I was asked, is that something you would be interested in doing?
Right.
And I thought about it and I said, yeah, that sounds fun. And so we did it and I enjoyed it. And I was lucky to be relatively successful. And at a certain point when I went through puberty, it became not as fun and I took a break and I went to school and I did normal kid things and I went to college and all that stuff. And then I realized that I don't really like anything else as much as I like acting. So I came back. And I think, that a lot of people feel that way about acting. It's like Brokeback Mountain. I wish I knew how to quit you, right? Because it's not an easy business.
Right.
And sometimes you're like, I wish I could do something else. I wish I could be satisfied doing this thing. And there are other things that I like doing that I find interesting and that I enjoy, but this is always something that feels like I'm missing if I'm not doing it in some way.
Now, what about your daughter? Would you, if she wanted to act, would that be something you'd encourage, or would you want to keep her away from it?
It's funny. She and I actually shot a commercial together
cool.
last year, which was really fun. And she's so young that she doesn't even really know what she's doing. So to have her do it now feels fine because she's either playing over here or playing over there. And I don't think she really would realize or understand that it's a movie or a commercial yet. As she gets older, if it's something she's interested in, I'm okay with that, but I'm not going to push it either.
Yeah.
So if she says, I don't want to do this, that's totally cool. Don't do it. She's a super ham and she has an unnatural affection for applause. So, like most actors, I think she's a born actor, and not all born actors act as a job. You know what I mean? Like they're just like to be the center of attention and like to sort of be the focus. And she definitely gravitates towards that. But, it's something you have to be very careful of, and you have to really protect your children and make sure that it doesn't, if they are successful, it doesn't go to their head, and that if they're not, it doesn't mean anything bad about them. So there's a lot of, I was really lucky. I had really good parents who really protected my psychology. And so if it was something she ended up doing, I would be very cognizant of that.
Yeah. Now I saw that you did a movie called Monster Piece Theater, and it was like a huge
Awesome.
cast of people. I've not seen this, but I actually want to seek it out now. What was that like
It's
to
an
do? And it's
anthology.
yeah,
It was fun. It was an anthology, so I didn't actually meet everybody who's in it because there are like I think 3 or 4 different stories.
hmm
So they sort of shot like small short films. So I met everybody that was in my segment and I worked with those people, which was pretty fantastic. And a lot of fun, but I didn't get to meet everybody who worked on the other sections.
yeah. But even just yours has a lot of people. It's like I mean, Dietz, Caroline Williams. So how did that come about?
You know, it was somebody that I met, I think, who just contacted me. It was when I had first started acting again. So it was sort of like brand new. And I think he got in touch via Facebook or something like that and submitted the script to me. And I read it and I thought, oh, that sounds fun. And it was just going to be like a couple-day shoot. And so we just like made a contract and I went out. You know, actors like to act. And no part is too small if you are interested in the story and in the script. And it seemed funny. It's about like a deranged Easter bunny. So it seemed like a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
And I thought it was fun.
Mm-hmm. Are you do you like horror movies?
I do. I mean, it's interesting. And by the way, I actually haven't seen Monster Piece Theater either. I don't know if it's ever been finished, to be honest.
All right,
I've been looking for a copy myself, so if you find one.
If I find one, I'll hook you up. Yeah.
Yeah, if you find one, let me know. I'd like to see it. Yeah, I mean, I get scared really easily. So, and I think it's one of the things it's one of the reasons I get cast in horror movies is that I can really easily be into the reality of the fear and feed off of it. And so horror movies for me, I like them to a degree, but there are some that I cannot watch because I'm just too sensitive to it. So I can watch like the Freddy's and the Jasons, those are slasher movies, but like I can't watch Saw.
Mm-hmm.
It's just too visceral. It's too bloody. I'm too sensitive to it, and it like I can't look at it. Like I close my eyes, can't see it. So things like that, I have a really hard time with. I love movies like old horror movies, like The Conjuring, and The Shining, and kind of like more psychological horror. I'm a little more into than sort of the what I call torture porn.
Yeah, I understand. That's how a lot of horror fans are, though. Some people aren't into the gore.
For me, like I went with my husband and some friends to do Universal Halloween Horror Nights a few weeks ago, which was super fun. And when we went through the Saw house, I like thought I was going to have like a panic attack. I was like, I have to get out of here. Like this is too overwhelming for me. I am terrified. I am scared. Things are gross. I don't want to touch them. Like, please, somebody help me. I need out. So it's I think it's why people feel those situations because it becomes really real for me really fast.
Yeah. Did your daughter dress up for Halloween? Which might be a little young. I don't know.
We were the worst this year, and we were so busy, and I was out of town that we did nothing. Last year, she was an adorable little owl.
Oh,
and next year, I think we'll have good. My husband is a writer, and his show is aliens in the 1950s. Well, not aliens. It's about the Air Force's investigation into UFOs in the 1950s. And so he's like super obsessed with aliens, and so we thought it would be a fun costume to dress her as like a little mini alien, and we could dress as like the Men in Black. So I think that's our idea for next year if we can get our act together.
I like that idea. Well, we do an annual Halloween costume contest here, so you could always enter it next year if you pull it off. You're right. You win some stuff.
Get ready. I got to start planning now. I got to start sewing her alien costume now.
Yeah. Is that something you're interested in too, aliens? Like, was he interested in them before he started doing the show?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he created the show, so it all comes from him. And he has been, like, down deep in the tunnel of UFOs since I've known him. And I have learned more through meeting him. You know, it's an interesting phenomenon. Some things can be explained and some things can't be explained. And who knows really, you know, there's UFOs on some level are real. We know that there are things in the air that are flying that we can't necessarily identify.
Right.
What those things are, who knows? Right? So it's like, are they spacemen? I don't know if they're like aliens. You know, there are theories about what they could be. And some of those theories are actually relatively scientific. So I don't know. But we've gone down deep in the rabbit hole, and he is a true believer.
Yeah. How about yourself? If you had to answer, do you believe in aliens?
I would say that there's so much universe out there that I find it hard to believe nothing else. There's no other life as us.
I agree. But that doesn't actually mean that they've come here in spaceships. But I don't
know if I think they've come here. I don't know if I think they've come here. I think that there is definitely other intelligence, otherworldly intelligence in existence. To me, like, I think that. But I don't know what form it takes or if it's ever appeared here on Earth, and if it has, how it has.
Yeah.
I know that's like a non-answer, but it's my answer.
That's actually pretty much the answer I always give. So I totally understand what you're saying. And I agree with that. So I didn't ask, what was Fred Dekker like?
Fred's great. I mean, Fred's still great. He was like the big kid in the 80s. You know, he was, I think, 26, 27 when we shot through Squad. And him and Shane are like big Monster fans. And like, this was just like, I think, so much for them. And that kind of energy is infectious. And I think that's why it became so much fun for us. And Fred's like a huge movie buff. He knows everything. He's like an encyclopedia of movies. And so he's just incredibly knowledgeable, and he's a great storyteller, and he's very smart, and he's such a good writer. So, I mean, I'm really excited. I can't wait to see the new Predator movie that he and Shane worked on together.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be cool. Since Monster Squad, and you said you I guess you watch the old monster movies, and do you have a favorite monster?
I think I really like Frankenstein.
That's my favorite.
I really do. I feel not only I feel like my fans would kill me if I had anything else, but because I think that Frankenstein is sort of the monster that he's not a monster, right? Like created by somebody else, and it's not his fault. He is the way he is. He just is the way he is, and he gets really persecuted for it. And I think that particularly in the day and age, that could really time me. In terms of, you know, bully and culture, you know, Facebook and sort of our internet culture and our tendency to sort of jump on people and rush to judgment. And, you know, the court of public opinion. And I think that it in some ways echoes a lot of the sentiments of the original novel.
Yeah, it's a sad character.
It is. He's tragic, you know. And I think that that's why people connect so much to him, because I think that there's a world.
Yeah, it's by far my favorite. I actually was carving Frankenstein monster into rock. And,
oh wow!
Yes,
that's amazing.
It's not very good. So I'm not a very good artist, but it's it's still there.
Don't tell me that. You should say it's amazing. It's the best thing you've ever seen.
Well, there's pictures of it, so you can tell if I was lying. But it is fun. It's interesting to do anyway. So how can people follow you online? Not like at your house or anything.
Yeah, please don't follow me at my house. That's super creepy. I am on Instagram and I'm on Twitter and have a Facebook page. Some people request to be my friend on my like personal Facebook page. Usually don't have anybody that I don't personally know.
Right.
But I that people can like and sort of keep up on with if they like. And then Instagram, Twitter, I'm on there just at my name on both of them, I think.
Very cool. Well, I appreciate you taking time to talk to me.
My pleasure. This was fun. I look forward to listening to all the other Scream Queens.
Oh, yeah, very cool.
It's funny. I don't take all the interview requests, but the idea of being the youngest Scream Queen was real appealing to me.
Oh, very cool. I'm glad you enjoyed it then.
Yeah, I think it's kind of fun. Super fun. Well, thank you.
Yes, hi, Michael Reed McKay here to say, first of all, my all-time favorite role will have to be The Mummy, because that was my first professional job. And my last favorite role, The Man Who Can't Breathe in Insidious Chapter 3, because that was the last film I did. And I love all you guys and all you fans. You guys are great. And so, there you have it. Thank you.